Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Winder. I am standing in for Sandy Wingert today, and we are going to be presenting on the Provo River Watershed Council and how the council is protecting Utah Lake from the source of the Provo River. As many of you probably already know, the Provo River flows directly into Utah Lake. It is the largest tributary and delivers approximately 40% of the lake's total inflow. The watershed is about 430,000 acres, and whatever happens there ends up in Utah Lake and beyond. And another notable fact, the watershed serves 65% of Utah's population with drinking water. It is a very important water source. This is a map of the Provo River watershed. This was taken from our website, so all of these pins that you see there, I will actually be addressing those later. Those are monitoring locations. And of note, the watershed does cross 3 different counties, and then, of course, Utah Lake there at the bottom. A quick history of the council. In 1979, at the request of the EPA, the governor committed to the development of the Jordanelle Reservoir Management Plan in response to the construction of the reservoir, which leads to the development of the water quality management plans for both Deer Creek and Jordanelle. The goal of these plans were to address environmental impacts from the reservoirs and specifically the eutrophication in Deer Creek Reservoir. After 24 years, the committee recognized the need to expand their efforts to the entire watershed, leading to the formation of the council in 2005. The goals of the council are first to advocate awareness and education with the public, HOAs, government entities, etc., provide a forum for information exchange, monitor, analyze, and document water quality trends, maximize communication between stakeholders and foster partnerships, and then implement projects that maintain or improve water quality and watershed health. Very quickly, the structure of the council is that we have 6 voting members, including a chair and a co-chair, 1 non-voting member, 1 executive secretary, and we are very fortunate to have so many council members that are active partnerships that we meet with regularly. Okay. The strategic plan for the Provo River Watershed Council is like our roadmap for addressing and identifying water quality concerns in the watershed. The strategic plans identifies actions and activities that the council will be looking at in the short term, which is 5 years, as well as the long term in 20 years to protect the water quality of the watershed. In the strategic plan, the council went through an exercise identifying the top 10 potential threats to water quality within the Provo River watershed. Each threat was assessed by sub-watershed to establish the risk levels, and then the threats were ranked and prioritized. The strategic plan also includes detailed recommendations for management activities to address the impact of the highest ranked threats. A copy of the plan, including the risk assessment and the funding packet, is all available for download on our website. And addressing these risks that were identified in the strategic plan, part of this is coordinated watershed management plans. The council has been and continues to be involved in the development of several source water protection plans. Most recently, the Heber Valley Watershed Plan was approved by the EPA in 2023 and began implementation last year. This plan was designed with the holistic approach of protecting source water for Deer Creek Reservoir, and by default, the millions of Utahns who rely on Deer Creek for clean drinking water. And it also recommends best management practices for both rural and urban land managers. As far as plans currently in development, the council is now assisting in the development of coordinated stormwater management plans for Wasatch County, which is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. So I wanted to get more into detail on source water protection plans. At its simplest, source water protection plans are proactive, common sense plans to protect drinking water before they get to the treatment plant. It is the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure approach. It's always safer, easier, and dramatically cheaper to keep pollutants out of the water in the first place than it is to build complex, expensive treatment plants to remove them later. And how do they work? First, you identify your water source and the land that drains into it. For us, that's the entire Provo River watershed. Second, you identify all the potential threats and risks to that water, which is what the council did in its strategic plan when it identifies the top risks. Most importantly, things like wildfire and drought, development, stormwater, and old mines. Third, and most importantly, you create and implement projects to manage those risks. This whole process of watershed planning is at the very core of the council's daily efforts to protect source water. For example, the Heber Valley Watershed Plan is a source water protection plan. The stormwater management plans that the council is currently helping to develop, they also serve as source water protection. These plans are designed to help cities identify best management practices that will trap pollutants from roads and developments before they ever reach the river. The council also helps fund several stream and floodplain restoration projects, also a source of source water protection. A healthy natural floodplain is one of nature's best water filters, as I'm sure most of us already know. You can think of the Provo River Watershed Council as an engine that runs a massive collaborative source water protection plan, with the goal of coordinating all efforts to ensure that all the water in the Provo starts and ends its journey with as minimal pollution as possible. As the largest tributary to Utah Lake, the council recognizes the responsibility our watershed carries to stop pollutants before they reach Utah Lake. So upstream benefits as they pertain to Utah Lake, all of the council's watershed planning and restoration efforts are designed to minimize nutrient and sediment loading downstream. As we all know, both of these things contribute to harmful algal blooms, something that we're obviously concerned with in Utah Lake, but also we deal with frequently at Deer Creek Reservoir. Our efforts are also designed to increase the watershed's resilience to things like wildfire and climate change. You may notice that wildfire is ranked as the #1 threat to the watershed in the council's risk analysis. And then finally, reiterating the cost effectiveness of source water protection. It is always cheaper to try and prevent pollutants from reaching the river than it is to build facilities. One very important and very cool feature of the council and their website is the Experience Builder. In 2020, the council developed the Provo River Experience Builder to summarize and present relevant water quality information in the watershed to develop data-driven approaches to identify areas of concern and make recommendations for water quality improvement. This Experience Builder undergoes annual updates to provide a comprehensive, up-to-date overview of the watershed and include water quality findings with additional data on land use and other watershed activities. The aim of the map is to offer a more accessible and useful platform for water quality analyses, catering to the needs of watershed planners, stakeholders, and the general public. So you can see here in the photo an example of what the map looks like when it's pulled up all the phosphorus data that we have. The legend will show you what the concentrations look like. We also have extensive data for hydrology, for E. coli concentrations, for metal contamination, all available on the interactive map. And we hope that everyone from the public to water professionals find this tool useful. I will quickly go over the projects. We've already gone over the Wasatch County Stormwater Management Plan and Heber Valley Watershed Plans. The Pine Valley Restoration Project, this one's my favorite because it's my baby. And this one is unique in that we're not just working on the riverbanks itself. It's about 2.5 miles of the upper Provo. We're also working on a floodplain restoration plan to restore the floodplain and the associated wetlands. The goal is to obviously create best management practices to restore the dynamic stretch of the river, but also to develop a floodplain management plan that everyone in that watershed can use for best management practices. And then finally, the Utah County Stormwater Webinar Series was hosted last year by USU Extension and created with our partners, especially Utah Lake Authority. We hosted 3 one-hour webinars discussing important topics for stormwater management, and we are planning to host another one this spring. And finally, a connected system. Obviously, the Provo is one of the biggest tributaries to the lake. I hope that I have impressed on you how connected the watersheds are, as is in line with the theme. Sandy Winger was the one who wrote most of this presentation. I'll read word for word what she has here because I think it's the most important thing to drive home here. The most important concept to remember is our guiding principle. What happens upstream flows downstream. A watershed isn't a collection of separate pieces. It's one single interconnected system. You cannot separate the health of the river from the health of the lake it flows into. And in our system, that connection is critical. The Provo River isn't just a source for Utah Lake, it's the largest and most critical source of water for the Wasatch Front. This means that every pollutant, every loose bit of sediment from construction, and especially every pound of excess nutrients like phosphorus from the entire watershed is transported directly downstream. We all know the challenges Utah Lake faces with harmful algal blooms. That phosphorus we just mentioned is the primary fuel for those blooms. So when you hear us talk about projects upstream, like restoring floodplains in the Heber Valley or helping manage stormwater, this is the why. By restoring and protecting the water quality in the headwaters, we are directly cutting off the fuel supply for those algal blooms. We are treating the source of the problem, not just the symptoms, which is the only way to ensure the long-term health of both the river and Utah Lake. Okay, thank you so much.